All right, so thanks so much again for taking the time to do this. I appreciate it. So first off, tell the audience a little bit about yourself and how you got started in aquatics therapy.
So I went to school for uh kinesiology, and I was looking for a job at the time when I was in college, and I was also a swim coach at the time, so I was, trying to stay within the aquatics world and still kind of learn how to apply everything that I was learning at school at the time. And so I found this job, and it has been with me ever since, pretty much.
Mm-hmm. My next question is, what do you focus on in your current role as an instructor? Because I know when I talked to Sandy Carlick, I had her on the podcast, and she told me that you focus on you work with children with special needs in aquatics.
Hmm. I do have adults also, yeah. Um, so my current role is a lot more of like the therapy side compared to some of her other employees that she has. So I do have elderly, I have adults, I have um teenagers that come in off and on. I have kids for a number of reasons. So, I mean, it could be for like a neuromuscular connection that they're working on, or it could be for like a patient that has Parkinson's or dementia or maybe a stroke. And a lot of people don't know this, but there are kids that actually have strokes, or babies that were in vitro. So we get a lot of like a range of people. So there's never one type of group that I'll see in
Hmm.
one day. Yeah.
Yeah. My follow-up question is like, what sorts of things do you teach those individuals? Because oftentimes they require different needs, and
Yeah.
everybody's different. So, what are the things that you sort of focus on as a swim instructor to sort of, in that particular way? You know what I mean?
So I like to understand the person and their needs and where they are more or less physically at that moment in time. It's not necessarily what their disability is overall, because, there's so many different meanings and definitions, and no two people are the same. So, like I could have somebody that's got Parkinson's, and, they have their own special disability compared to maybe the next person sitting next to them on a bench that has also Parkinson's, right? So, it's about understanding and evolving with the science a little bit, but also being able to apply that to whatever that person is working on, so they can actually become more functional, they can become stronger. They're working on mobility, they're working on, maybe physical challenges, like if they're wheelchair bound, they're working on walking or something like that, so yeah, there's a lot of different avenues that could go down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
My next question, I guess, is like, what sorts of testimonials have you heard from patients that you've worked with? How has sort of aquatics therapy, how has that, felt for them? What has their experience, been like?
I mean, I have had a number of people stay with me past their injury point or past whatever they signed up for, just because they felt good doing what they were doing. They got exercise out of it. They got more than what they were coming there for. I'm very thorough about what I do and how I do it. So, and it's also become like a little community for them. So they come into the pool, they kind of get to know everybody else around them. Yeah. So I think people come in maybe with a certain expectation and they leave with a lot more.
Mm-hmm. My next
Mhm.
question is, what impact has this kind of work, as a aquatics instructor been like for you, but also like for the greater community? Have has do you have some sort of like swim background that kind of always motivated you to like, oh, hey, I want to do this. I want to teach these kids how to swim.
So yeah, I grew up as a swimmer, and as I started off with, I was in the aquatics world. I was a swim coach. So I have evolved my knowledge in that quite a bit going through kinesiology. Being a swim coach, I'm working on 15 years now. I've seen a number of people that have their own disabilities, have their own, maybe some of them were on the spectrum, or it's just not your average, because I coach high school age kids, so it's not just your average high school age kids. um but yeah, I've coached all different levels of that. So being in the community, I think I've been able to branch out and get to see different things and get to connect people. And I think that is my biggest thing, is being able to see, you know I think one of the things too is that people are not aware of others and their circumstances, and I think they are scared to ask about things. And so my job is to help connect them, with outreach programs, and we do a lot of volunteering within our swim teams and helping, people get familiar with maybe stigmas, things they're scared of, or um, yeah. So I'm very involved in the community with a number of swim teams, and yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. My last question, I guess, in this discussion is how can aquatic therapy help, individuals with disabilities, create that sort of autonomy and independence that that they that they ha- that can make them, you know, more successful, I guess, in their life. I'm not sure if that's the right word, but yeah.
So I think with the aquatic therapies, we have, like I said, we have a number of people that come in for various different reasons. Um, it could be like a neuromuscular connection, like they have none. Like their brain just doesn't function with their muscles, and so like grabbing things. I see a lot of kids with this. They'll come in and they don't have the muscular ability of function, or they just can't walk. So their brain is not working with their muscles. So there's a lot of that I get to see. I get to see the progress, and I get to help them. So yeah, they do walk out of there with something good, and they get to see and feel their own autonomy. And like with people with Parkinson's, or people on the spectrum, or um anybody that has any sort of limitations, I'd say they're getting something out of this that they can take away with, whether they're getting mobility, functionality, they're getting some sort of strength training. Um, like they're working on maybe body balance, just body awareness. There's a lot of people who have no feeling in parts of their body, so it's understanding, where they are in space. um Cognitive delays, so like working on reaction times on things. There's a lot of stuff that we do in the pool. uh yeah. Injuries, somebody could have just came out of surgery, so they're post-op, and they're working on, again, strength training and things like that. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff that they get to take out of this and
Yeah,
walk away and use every day.
yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.